In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Pathfinders tool to combine or recreate new shapes based off of other shapes. So what you need is at least two different shapes. Sometimes you can combine multiple shapes together. I created a couple of duplicates because there are different ways that we can combine our shapes together. Use the selection tool or the direct selection tool to select both shapes, and that will change the properties in the properties palette. We can kind of see over here, what we're looking for is the pathfinders, and they show a variety of different kinds of ways that these can combine. We can see that this one, I'll scoot it over if we hover over, is to unite, and you can see that it's two shapes that are combined together as one. This one is subtracting the shape in the front. This one only shows what's intersected, and this one only shows the areas that are not intersected. We can also click on the more options to find a couple more different more ways that we can change these. If you don't see the pathfinders in the properties bar, another place to look for it is I'll always come up to window so you can see what things exist, and come and ask for the the Pathfinder, and that'll bring up the Pathfinder. And you can see as I click on it, it brought up that same sort of thing that exists over here, over in this bottom part. And I can drag it over into the side or close it depending on what I need. So for this first one, I'm going to show, after I've clicked on this, if I come over here and I click on the Unite Pathfinders, it has combined the two shapes together. We can see that as a group, they no longer function as separate things. They've actually been united. You can also see that since it is one shape and not two shapes, it can only really have one fill and one outline. And so it took the fill and the outline of whatever object was on front. So if I undo that, you can see now it's back to being two separate shapes, and we can see that I can move them independently. And if I hover over them, we can see that these actually have their own paths and anchors. And so by unifying them, it'll create its own, it'll create one unified set, which can be an alternative to grouping. I'm going to move this to the back so you can see that now that the green is on top and I combine these together, it all becomes green. But that's not that big of a deal anyways, since we can easily change the stroke and fill afterwards. So that is unifying. I'm going to select these two, and you can see that minus front, since the yellow is on front of, it cuts it out, and that there is no more yellow, just the crescent moon kind of shape that's left over from where where the front cut out the back. And that can be good if I want to say, I'm going to go back to the ellipse tool. I'm going to create a couple of eyes and create a mouth. And I'm going to put them all there, and we can do subtract from front. And since all of those things were overlapping just that shape, you can see that it cut holes into there, and it actually has holes and not just white spaces. I'm going to come over and we'll do that same thing for intersection. And again, only that intersected place is the place that exists. And over here, I'm going to go for exclusion. And again, it transferred the colors and of the stroke and fill from the top object to both objects. But now you can see that we have one solid object that has only the colors in the area where they were not overlapping. So using the various Pathfinder tools, we can combine and warp together multiple shapes instead of having to build them as one whole solid path. This can actually be a very fluid way of working if you just think of basic shapes and how they recombine together. So that is the Pathfinder tool.